What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Let There Fly YouTube channel. So today's episode number 2 of rebuilding my dad's wrecked 2018 Can-Am Outlander 650 XT. Now, a little side note, he did not wreck it. It was actually the previous owner. But yeah, this guy actually has a twisted frame here. The guy hit a wall at 65. You can kind of see that's not straight, but the rest of the quad is. So yeah, this thing got pretty good. But today is just a continuation of the teardown. So it's probably gonna drop the antifreeze out of the radiator and everything, get the radiator out of the way. Just start getting some of that stuff out of the quad that doesn't need to be there. I wanna leave the wiring for now because I wanna be able to see where it's routed and take good pictures of it right before and have it do that transition basically while we have the other frames, this way I know how all the wires get routed and stuff. But right now, just gonna throw up a little time lapse, gonna get the quad moved around and then get the front tires off of it and start digging in. Alright, so I just took off the front tires, got the gauge cluster out, that took 2 seconds, and then couldn't find a size. It's like a really odd size for that holds on the actual little hand protector guard here, deal for the handlebars, but basically it's trying to get the obvious stuff off, the stuff that I don't need to take pictures of or kind of transfer over and look to see what I'm doing when I get the new frame. So the next thing I'm probably going to do is try to get this piece out here. This supports the gauge cluster. I'm guessing it's the gauge cluster support, but I'm going to get the fuse block off of here first. Going to unplug the wires for the 12-volt plug, and then after that I'm actually going to move into the clutching department because this guy's going to have to come off anyway, and I know how to get this guy all apart and whatnot because I have all the clutching tools. So I'm going to pop the primary and secondary off, put them in a safe spot. I already did loosen this up the other day. Gotta try to get this out. I don't know if it's bent. I'm going to guess it is, the through rod there. So got to get that out, get the trailing arms off, and get the sway bar out of there. All the obvious stuff that kind of goes together pretty easily. Gonna get all that stuff off, gotta get the hubs off, and it's just gonna be a grand old time. So yeah, all this stuff shouldn't be too bad. Just gotta make sure you remember where stuff goes. The easiest way to remember is take pictures on your phone, which is what I've been doing and whatnot. A lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory to where it goes. I've had the rear diff out of my quad and had the trailing arms off multiple times, so I know how all that stuff kind of goes back together. Front suspension, basically know how all that goes, so shouldn't really need to worry about that. I can get that all off and put that in a safe spot for now. Same thing, gonna get the diffs out, probably get the winch out, take a picture of all that wiring because we want to make sure we wire that up correctly when we go to put it back together. And then we'll see what else we can get apart today. Probably gonna get the fuel cell back off here again. I call it a fuel cell because I do race cars, like the one behind me. Might get the exhaust off because again, a self-explanatory kind of thing to get off there. And let's see where else we get today, because hopefully going to get this thing tore down pretty good to the point where we can kind of get a more of a game plan together as when we get the other frame. That's why I turned the thing sideways, is this way when we get the other frame, we can set it right in front of, or right to the side of this thing and literally just transfer over the motor, the trans, and start getting everything back together. Alright, so I've taken off my clutch cover more than 1,000 times, I feel like, at this point. So this is just going to be another walk in the park. Get your 8mm out and just going to start taking this all out this way we can see more of what we're dealing with as far as getting the motor out of there. Alright, just like that, clutch cover is off, and just as expected, this thing looks brand new. Wow, I'd never seen a belt box that clean except on a brand new quad. That's beautiful. Yeah, mine does not look like that. Mine, even though it's got fancy CVTech primary, STM secondary, mine still has a lot of belt dust in there, even though after I clean it. So right now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab the clutch pull tool. I have it right over here. We're going to pop the primary clutch off, get the secondary off. First we have to get this belt off though, so we're going to use the Can-Am belt tool here. It just goes right into the secondary, expands it, so this way you can get the belt right out. We'll get the rear cover out of our way, so this way we can kind of see how the this trans and engine are going to come out, because right now you can't really see that stuff. So let's continue. All right, let's see how fast I can get off the clutching here. So it should be just a matter of popping this guy off. So use a belt expander tool. This belt literally looks brand new. I've never seen a Can-Am belt look that good. Awesome. So get the belt out of our way. Then we release the tension on the belt tool here. And now we're going to go ahead and zip zap off. Now be careful when you're popping off your secondary if you've never done it before, because yeah, it's a loaded gun basically. So it's going to want to pop off pretty hard on you. There she comes. So like that, slide it off with the helix. Set this off to the side. Now for the primary, it's a little different. We have a 3/4 inch socket we're going to use. That's going to take the front face off here. Don't lose any of the washers or anything. They are specific. So it should be able to pop this guy off here. This is locked up. It usually just pops right off. Let's just hit it with a rubber mallet here. Let's see if she wants to break loose at all here. There it is. I say I knew it comes off there. There we go. Alright. Now we go ahead, get our clutch tool, thread this guy in here. There she goes. Alright. Just like that, the clutching's off. Well, it actually looks like he had a little bit of water get up in here, actually. It's got a little bit of mud on the by the output shaft of the motor here. Somebody might have been a little mud rider here with the stock XT, because I see a lot of mud on the underneath the footwells where you kind of get it usually, like with my quad. But yeah, there's a little bit of mud in here. So he definitely, oh, I see why actually. The clamp from the factory is not on there very well. Check this out. That would probably do it. See, will it pop that right out? Yeah, look at that. None of that's even that tight. That's probably where his water probably came in. Unless he was sending it deep. Who knows? Hey, you can see a little bit of mud got in there. So right now we're going to go ahead, pop this cover off here. Looks like we just got a bunch of 10mm. And then we'll remove the snorkel here. I got the exhaust already off over there. But pop this guy off and we'll have a better look at what we're dealing with as far as removing the engine and trans. Alright, so we got the clutch cover off here. And now we can get a better look at what we got to do in here. Now, what I'm going to attempt to do, I believe these two do separate, the engine and trans. But I'm going to see if we can keep them together, because they're actually attached right down here, as well as some dealio happening right back in here. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Connected somehow in there. But from what I can see, yeah, one bolt here, one there, and I'm guessing there's probably one up top too to help support the engine. Up there, could be wrong, yep, looks like it's right there actually. A little black bracket with the two grade 8 bolts. But that's as far as I'm going to go with the engine for right now. Now, next thing I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm actually going to go ahead and remove the exhaust so we can get that out of our way. And then shortly after that, let's get that whole rear end out of the thing. We can get the diff out, get the trailing arms out, and get the axles out. I want to take a look at the right side axle, because this is the side that's actually bent. And the axle is very compressed right now, but I want to check it and see if it's still good. I'm hoping it is. I do have a spare for my girlfriend's quad. It should be the same exact axle and whatnot, because that's a 500, it's the only difference. But I want to see if we can hopefully salvage that guy. I'm hoping it's still okay, because I'm hoping, even though it got impacted this way, I'm hoping that the axle kind of just went in, because they do move, obviously. So hopefully that's all that happened to it. Maybe I'll take it apart, take the boots off temporarily, and just inspect everything, make sure it's good. Wouldn't be a bad idea. So right now we're going to go ahead and tackle the exhaust and get these trailing arms off. Alright, so let's see if we can't get the good old gas tank out of the way here again. Shouldn't have too much fuel. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the strap because I actually did order a new clamp for the fuel line here, so I'm going to see if I can get all this stuff off at least. There she comes. And of course, good old gasoline. Move this harness out of the way here. Get the gas tank out of the way here. It continues to drip fuel everywhere. Terrific. There we go. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and get the sway bar stuff out of the way because you gotta get that off anyway to pull the trailing arms rather. So once we get those out, then we'll pop off the hubs, get those off, get the brake caliper out of the way. We're gonna have to drill out one of the little screws here because I remember that from my quad. And then, or to rivet rather, and then hopefully we'll get the diff out. Should be nice and easy to access this bolt cut now. That all looks good and everything. And so we got really lucky. The diff did not crack or anything. I'm looking at it again now that I have a bird's eye view. She's perfectly fine from its extravaganza. Just like that. There's a will, there's a way. So again, we're put back all the bolts back into their positions here. So this way we know exactly where everything goes. No questions asked. It'll go back together nice and smooth, hopefully. Alright, so tank's out of the way. Got the sway bar out of the way. Now we can actually get to these trailing arms. Like I said, with the Can-Ams here, the rear brake, I don't know why they pop riveted this, knowing that this has to come out. You have to literally take the trailing arm out in order to grease the wheel bearings. So I don't know why they just didn't make this threaded or make this serviceable or whatever. So no biggie. We'll just drill that guy out real quick. We'll get the brake caliper off. I'm not going to take the caliper off just yet as far as the brake fluid. And then we'll go ahead and get the hubs off. And then after that, trailing arms should come out hopefully pretty nicely. And so I'm gonna see if I can keep the hub or the axles in the diff. I don't think I'm gonna be able to, but for the shot, this way we can try to keep some of the oil in it. Obviously, it can still come out of the front, so we gotta have it tipped back at all times, or maybe put a bag or something over it just to keep it in one piece for now. But so far, so good here. Alright, so this is the damaged side of the quad, obviously. And one thing I noticed, there's some metal shavings in here for some reason. And the other thing too is where I just put it at, there it is. The actual bearing, whatever you want to call it, the clip, this actually popped out, which means the bush or the bearing here might have actually pushed out. But that may be good news for us because then that means the axle might be okay. I mean, it looks okay and everything. It moves fine. It'd be really cool if that axle wasn't bad because it saves a little bit of money on the project here. An axle could buy us some cool parts. You never know. Actually, with Can-Ams, doesn't buy it much because these things can be expensive. Alright, so for this job I brought out the Whammer Slammer 9000. You can get these on eBay and stuff like that, you know. Great tool. The heavier the head, the harder you can hit. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can get this bolt out. Already got it loose. Let's see if she'll slide through or not. It's actually coming pretty easy, surprisingly. That's a really good sign. Stuff is falling, sockets, I don't know. Who's to say? What I'm doing is I'm putting the nut on first and hitting the nut rather than the threads. Because when you hit the threads, you screw stuff up, turns out. Being that it's coming out pretty easy, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it might be straight, which would be awesome. Oh, this stuff, all this is just in the way. Why?
Here we go.
All right, so Dad finally showed up to actually do some work. What in God's name is that noise? Is it the radiator cap?
Yeah, seconds, bro. Ooh.
You're missing the pan there, sir.
The glasses got a little dirty for some reason or other.
Yeah, sure. That's a quacky sounding system you got going there.
Alright.
So, guys, I just pulled the bolt out, and unfortunately, she does have a slight wobble. I don't think you guys can actually see it on camera. You can actually see it by the way it rolls. See how it's rolling back? And kind of...
Well, we're going to throw out some glass more, so that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. What the heck are you doing? You're making a mess over here.
I didn't make a mess. It just didn't...
Yeah.
It's not on my side of the car. Or a car, listen to me. On a quad.
This is a quad. We're used to working on these things.
I know.
The race cars here. So, we make car references. Like, I already called the fuel tank the fuel cell, Dad. So I feel real intelligent. Yes, I did. But,
you know what the problem is? It's sniffing so much oil during the day.
Yeah, is that your pieces? So right now, hopefully with any kind of luck, the trailing arm should pop out of there. We're about to find out right now. I said I'm going to see if I can keep the axles in the diffs. This way we can keep some fluid in it, because that'd be really cool if we keep that level. Yeah. We might be able to keep the fluid in it, and we might not have to refill it. Well,
you know something? I think I can straighten this. It still looks like I can do it.
Stop! You can't straighten it. God. She's in there tight. Yeah, they're normally not in there this tight. They usually pop right out. It's coming up. Trying to come out. There she comes. There's one. There's one trailing arm. Okay. Oop. There we go. There she is. Oh, it's actually moving. That's a good sign. I couldn't have moved too far being in there. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. There you go. She's out. Yeah, we just don't want to lose these little
Let's take that. I'll grab the shaft.
Yep, there you go. Alright, so actually, I think the diff's only being held in by one bolt right now, and then I just gotta take the dry shaft bolt out. And it should pop out. Like I said, I'm gonna try to see if I can keep this as one assembly. So this way everything's good to go. Not too bad here so far. Holy crap.
What?
Look at the pile of parts we have over here.
Yeah, I see that.
Half of it still is actually under the house.
Yeah, I think we'll be.
Doing this again?
I think we'll be okay. We'll take the motor right out this whole side.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can keep it all in one piece with the transmission. It's gonna be heavy, but
well, let's get it down to that point.
Try to get the airbox off. Maybe.
I think what we should do really is let's try to keep as much of the wiring together as we can.
That was my big plan. I told them that already because keeping the wiring together is the big part. Because as long as we know how the wiring is run, it shouldn't be too bad to do so. All right, let me tackle this diff real quick. Dad is working on the front suspension. He's getting the temporary front shock off I put on there. All right, let's go ahead and dig in. This thing's looking pretty bare. Holy crap. Surprisingly enough, we haven't done, I mean, we've taken off a lot, but once you get the big bulk stuff out of the way, it's pretty...
We got like 3 hours into this.
Yeah, that's not bad. If we had another frame here, we'd already start swapping some of the stuff over. But, yeah, right now, Dad's just going to start working over, doing something over here. I don't even know what he's doing. Are you getting a reservoir?
Yeah, I'm going to get that all out of the way.
You just take the zip tie right off here. Yeah, so Dad's going to work on that right now, and I think what I'm going to start doing is starting to see if I can get the suspension for the front.
Also, I'm going to work my way up and get the cross member here off.
Okay, yep, because this has to get transferred over to the new frame, because, but that's brand new. This is like perfect anyway. And then we got to get this guy off. This has to get transferred over to the new frame. This looks all straight and stuff. It doesn't look like this got whacked or anything. That should be fine. And then, yeah, actually that'll probably gain us a little access. So I might get that off first, Dad, because that'll gain us a little access to the actual A-arms. So I'm gonna see if I can pop off the hubs and then slide everything out, take it off at the pitman arm, keep the tie rods and everything attached, even though we gotta replace this tie rod because this one's bent. But
I thought I was gonna straighten that.
Stop trying to straighten stuff. Just get new stuff. It's easier and it works better. So bad. Alright, so right now I'm gonna go ahead and tear into the suspension here and see what we can find with that. Alright, so unfortunately I went through all the batteries with the other camera there for the day, but dang did we make some progress. Take a look at this thing. So she is pretty dang tore down. This side looks a lot more tore down than the other side because the other side's got the harness and stuff on it. But yeah, managed to take off, like I said, the A-arms and everything like that, and the knuckles all in one piece. This way saves a lot of time going back together and whatnot, which is nice. Got the whole rear end apart. Started taking apart the brake lines and everything. We just gotta get the distribution block out of here and then disconnect it from the back. Then we can start working on getting the handlebars out of there and getting the pitman arm out. Probably next video, hopefully maybe we'll have a frame. That'd be cool. If not, we're probably gonna get the front diff out, get that taken care of, and then basically airbox, and the rest of it's the harness, and surprisingly it's almost there. This side looks a little scarier because this is all the harness deal we got going on. Yeah, there's a lot. Been taking a lot of pictures though, so we know where everything goes. Like this is the headlight stuff, and so I'm getting pretty good at memorizing what we got going on here. But see, a lot of it was piled on top of each other. This just flips up like this, and that's all the front stuff. And then just gotta go through the harness here. Now, with the one thing we haven't found yet, and we've got this thing pretty torn apart, I can't see where the harness is actually hurt. The previous owner said that they found a pinch point or something in the factory harness, and I have yet to see any kind of repair or anything. I mean, this all looks factory wrapped and everything, so I don't see anything there. This stuff looks all good and everything. The only thing I see back here is, well, this guy got clonked a little bit, but I mean, that's still okay. When that found the trees, you can see the bark is still in there, funny enough. But yeah, this is the voltage regulator, or rectifier, whatever you guys want to call it. And then, yeah, so hopefully what we're probably going to do is I'm probably going to wait until we get the other frame to actually go ahead and take off all this wiring here, because I want to make sure everything is routed correctly, just like OEM. I might get the gas lines out of there just to get that out of the way, because that's kind of self-explanatory from the fuel pump. But so far, so good. It's not too bad. I was a little skeptical getting into this because it is a scary project. It is a big project to do. As you can tell, my entire garage floor is a half of a quad. Yeah. But to be honest, so far, it's not too bad. I know going back together is going to be a lot more difficult because we're going to be torquing everything to spec, making sure everything is done just how Can-Am would have done it, because we don't want to skip any of those steps and whatnot, because, I mean, if my dad's going to be riding and ripping this thing, we don't want things falling apart and coming loose on us and whatnot. So with that, that's going to end today's video. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. We really appreciate everything you guys do. But if you guys want to keep up on the project like this and the other quads, anything like that, want to check out some trailers before ride videos and whatnot, make sure you head on over to our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We usually post stuff there sooner than we do to YouTube, as well as events too. So we're gonna have some events coming up for 2022. I'm really excited. We're hopefully get this thing out on the trail, which will be really cool. So you guys might get to see us in person if we're coming to a town near you. Now we will have to catch you guys next time on Let Dirt Fly.